Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston. And let's start with a song. Are we ready for a song this morning?
Yes, we are.
We're going to talk about our true calling. This is from Janice Stanfield.
I have a reason to go now.
When you hear a voice no one else can hear, yet it's clear and loud, ringing in your ear. And you finally know what it's time to do. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. When your heart's wide open 'cause your mind's been changed, and the dreams you dream are not the same, there's a gate that's open you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. Your true calling, calling you. You ask yourself, is this a voice I can trust? You think you can't, but you know that you must. You're afraid you'll fall if you let go, but there's only one way you'll ever know. Those wings you keep folded are meant to be used when your true calling is calling you. Your true calling is calling you. You ask yourself, am I asking too much? You think you can't, but you know that you must. When your heart's wide open 'cause your mind's been changed, and the dreams you dream are not the same, there's a gate that's open you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. You ask yourself, is this a voice I can trust? You think you can't, but you know that you must. Just trust. There's a gate that's open you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. Your true calling is calling you.
Wow, yeah. You know what I think of that song? I think of Rev M.E. and how her focus ministry came into her head and she just suddenly went, that's it.
Yeah.
And then she cried. But we all do that, right?
Yeah.
So welcome to CSL Greater Boston. Those of you who are joining us live through our Facebook or our YouTube channel. And all of our wonderful people in the room here, we know that the energy is just building and growing, and I am so wondrously excited about that. If you want to know more about our community, you will find more about us at cslboston.org, which I'm looking for that little tab right here. It's right here. There it is, cslboston.org. And you can find out more about our community, what's up, what's going on, and what's the happenings. And you'll find out more about our purpose statement.
Which I'd like to read one of them.
Oh, that would be
All right.
lovely,
So,
Red. Let me bring that up on the screen.
Purpose
for you.
statement that we will be
Absolutely.
looking at once we get it on the screen.
There it
Aha.
is.
So, how we share our wisdom, living a limitless life. We see through the eyes of love. Together we reach our highest potential as a light in the northeast and around the world. We will add to that. Correct. Now let's personalize it.
Yes, because we always make it our own,
Yes.
right? So let's all join together in that.
Yes, how I share
my wisdom. Living a limitless life,
I see through the eyes of love. Individually, I reach my highest potential as a light in the northeast and the world. And when we reach our highest potential, Reggie, would you agree with this or not? The energy that comes from us that ripples throughout the world is an uplifting agent for all of humanity, right? And that's so important.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pray us in. So let's just all move into the silence. Matter of fact, I'm going to use our bell, our singing bowl, to bring us in. So just let this bring you into that space of that divine perfection and that divine wholeness, that recognition of the allness and the wholeness of the universal one. Focusing on that one. Knowing that that one is in and as and through all things. This power, this presence, this perfection, this wholeness, this completeness, this infinite universal one is expressing itself fully and wholly and completely in and as and through all of creation, right here and right now and always. And as I recognize that this power is giving of itself to and as and through me, this power that I call the Mother, Father, God. But it matters not the name. Just understanding that this power is expressing as and in and through each one. Through me, as me. Through and as each one in this room, and through and as each and every one throughout the cosmos, and through and as and in the world. Each one is joined live on Facebook. Each one is filled with this one, is activated by this one, is animated. Every organ, action, and function, everything is working in this one. And so I know this one is working right here and right now as it fulfills itself as this beautiful Sunday celebration service. As the allness and the wholeness of God recognize itself in and as and through each one, this is a beautiful and wondrous activity, and that all of the appearances of anything less than perfect in technology are absolutely melted away in this moment, for it has been fulfilled and brought forward into form. So I am grateful. Grateful in knowing that it is the Mother, Father, God's good pleasure to give each one the kingdom right here and right now. So accepting that kingdom in this moment and letting the law do its perfect work. I know it is fulfilled. I know it is done. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Lefty. You know, and I believe it was in the late 20s, 1927, Ernest Holmes was asked, what do you people believe? And he came up with 11 statements of what we believe. And each month, what we do here at CSL Greater Boston, we go over and look at the beliefs. So for this month, I'd like to read you one of them. It states, we believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. And we can personalize this. If you'd like to read it together, you may. I believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that I am surrounded by this creative mind,
which receives the direct impress of my thought and acts upon it.
And as I always like to add, Rev G, coming from this and living this belief,
Yes.
it just shows how important what we think and what we say, what comes out of our mouth, which to me is the manifestation of our thoughts, is very important. So
It is.
making sure that what we're professing, what we're saying, is what we really want to experience in our life is very important, because the Lord is always working upon what we impress upon.
Right.
Yeah. I just
And
thought
I'd
I'd
like to
add, yeah.
save our special music for after the reading.
Oh, all right.
So, and here's your reading.
Yes. Okay. This was from Friday in the Science of Mind magazine. And I suggest, if you are not familiar with this magazine, to get it, because daily it has such wonderful messages. And part of our morning spiritual practice is that we read this every day. So for Friday, August 13th, live your dreams. And Eleanor Roosevelt said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And Ernest Holmes, from this thing called You, one of my favorite books, is, when you say all things are possible, you mean that the power which created the planets is now operating in your affairs, in and through everything you do. So Madeline Kay says, we are all champions. She writes, you are uniquely you, with your own hopes and dreams. Everything starts with a dream, a possibility. The difference between a dream and reality is that one is only a thought and the other is actualized. How do we actualize our dreams? By making choices and acting on those choices. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote that the people who are saddest on their deathbeds are the ones who haven't lived at all. She says they are observers of life, not participants. In the Talmud it is written, quote, every blade of grass has an angle that bends over it and whispers, the angel that bends over and whispers, grow, grow. You too have an angel whispering, grow, grow, become all you can be. In the movie Good Morning Vietnam, a character borrows a bike and loses control, and his head lands inches from a moving truck. Afterward, he says, while I was laying there, my whole life flashed before me. And you know what scared me more than anything else? It wasn't even interesting. Wow. If your life flashed before you now, would it be interesting? And the affirmation written for that day is, today I make the decision to live my dreams. I do not let fear and obstacles block my path. I move beyond my comfort zone, knowing Spirit is with me. I cannot fail. And so it is.
I like that last piece. I cannot fail, right?
I cannot fail.
It's always there supporting us.
Yes.
So I want to move to this song. This is by Reverend Michael Gott, who is such an awesome and amazing singer, and now a minister of a very big Unity church in Texas somewhere. So I just wanted this, I think this song just really is tying into everything that we're talking about today. So just take this in.
Don't you think you owe it to yourself to look inside of you and take the time to realize what you are here to do? Don't you think the time has finally come to stand and face the fire, to walk into the blazing sun and claim your heart's desire. You were placed upon this earth with a mission to complete. And now the time has come, so stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. For even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Do you think that you're not good enough to be a shining star? Or do you think because the road looks tough that you won't get that far? Do you believe that only some are great and others left for chance? Or maybe that it's just too late, a futile circumstance. You were placed upon the earth with a mission to complete. And now the time has come, so stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. Even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. And when the world feels like it's crashing, crashing all around you, and the clouds of doubt are darkening your day, well then just be still and know that there's something deep within you that will always, always know the way. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. For even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Move in the direction of your dreams.
Wow.
I have to.
Move in the direction of your dreams. And how many of us live in that?
And I'm going to share this with you. This
Yes.
came up as I was hearing this.
Yes.
Okay. After I had my 10-day silent retreat, I
Yes.
came back and I, as part of my spiritual practices from that, selected about nine songs that I would listen to every day. And this was one of them. And this song gave me such a drive to step into what came through. That was so shocking. So, I mean, through music, it can be such an empowering
Yes.
vehicle for
Indeed.
each of us. I just wanted to share that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we
Mm.
continue on in our 2021 theme
Yes.
of timeless wisdom, wow, and evolutionary vision. And of course, today's talk is actually sparking imagination. And of course, we're following in the August theme of a pause for guidance. And boy, there's been a lot of guidance, I'll say that, in this world and what's going on around us, right?
Yes. And when you pause,
Yes.
so many things bubble up.
Yes.
In a good way. in a good way.
And so when we talk about sparking imagination, when we talk about this idea of sparking imagination, here's what Ernest Holmes says, and I love this quote. True imagination is not fanciful daydreaming. It is fire from heaven. Fire from heaven. It's getting that power, that fire from heaven, that fires us up, that wakes us up.
Passion in the belly. So
Yes,
the
yes.
fire in the belly. the
So
passion.
as we look at this idea of sparking imagination, you know, I know for me, and I probably for you as well, Rebed, that our classes sparked imagination. When I took classes, it sparked imagination in me.
Yes.
And it woke me up to the possibilities that I had missed for so long in my life. And I had done many different paths and directions to try and figure that out. And it wasn't until I came to Science of Mind that it was like, there is possibility and I can grab it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was powerful. But here's the second part, right?
Mhm.
And what's the second part? The second part is fire from heaven. And how do we get the fire from heaven?
How do we get it?
Yeah.
Well, there are two different ways that I thought about that.
Good.
So my pre-science of mind,
Yes.
how do we get that fire, which brings us to the limitless imagination? Is that what you're talking about? I'm seeing.
Well,
Is that?
Well, I mean, it's just that the whole point of the fire from heaven is
Yeah.
that we get it
Yeah.
when we start to apply
Right.
these principles.
Right. We can read about the principles. They're not
Right.
hard to understand,
Right.
but it's in the application.
Yes.
When we apply them, that's when we
That's when
become.
we get the fire.
That's in the application. We're really saying we're receptive to all of this.
Right.
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 So then that gives the
Right.
the opening so that fire can, let's say, be ignited. Would you
Right.
agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's by applying it that I
Yes. You have
bring
to
that
apply
fire
it,
from heaven.
most definitely.
And that's the important thing.
Right. And when you apply it and you get the fire from heaven,
Mhm.
what are you saying? It's really talking about all of the infinite possibilities
Yes.
that are
Yes.
in the energy field.
But stepping in
It's
to
stepping
the
into
infinite possibilities,
Right.
The limitless imagination.
that.
Because it's a limitless imagination. It's not limited to you or me or one other person. We all have imaginations.
It's only limited by how we individually see the limitation.
Right.
There is no limit to
Right.
it. That's
Exactly.
the thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Exactly. So if I want to step into this infinite possibility, if I want to step into this idea of this perfect idea of sparking imagination, right?
Yeah.
What does it take for me to do that?
Okay. There's two answers to that
Okay.
for me.
Yes.
Before Science of Mind, I thought it took courage for me to step into all of that I was imagining. I really did. I mean, that's how I look. It took courage. I needed courage. But as I got into the teachings and started deeply studying it, bottom line, what it really takes is having faith. I don't need courage if I have faith. It's the faith that is the foundation of me moving forward. And when I say faith, faith in God, faith of God, there is a
God.
difference.
That's I was going to ask you. I said,
Right.
so is it faith in God or is it faith of God?
Well,
right?
again, before Science of Mind,
And I can see my practitioner students in the room smiling as we say that.
That was a big one, right? But before Science, I would say the faith in God, but it's not. It's because that puts God outside.
It's the
It's
faith
the
in that
faith
God
of
out there
God
somewhere.
within.
It's the faith of God. Yes.
And you know, it's like the strongest building stays strong because of its foundation. So when I am, if my foundation is in faith, you can't ask for a stronger base to live your life from. It's really empowering. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it is so empowering.
And the faith of God, for it to take place, requires surrender.
Yes.
Because you don't see what it is.
Mm-mm.
It's not in form yet.
Right.
But we're planting the seed of that. in order to bring it into form. So it's that faith of God that you surrender into, and then we trust in the capital S self, not the small s self, because we've done that, right? Haven't we all done that? We've all trusted that small s self. But that small s self is that kind of ego self, isn't it? That person who kind of like says, oh, you don't want to do that.
Right.
And it could be the greatest thing you ever did, right? So I love what Ernest Holmes says around this, because he says this, and I think it's just so beautiful. He says, creation is the play of life upon itself through divine self, notice capital S, self imagination. So the divine self, that higher part of who we are, that greater part of who we are.
And that all comes with being in alignment and connected to the divine. And when we fall out of alignment, when we leave the room, so to speak,
Right,
okay, right?
the
When
room,
we leave
exactly.
the room, it never leaves the room. We leave the room.
Right.
It is always there. It's us who are not there.
Yeah.
So these are things to think about that can strengthen.
Well, I think it reminds me of like a joke I heard, and it's like, if God isn't in your life, who moved?
Who moved? That's right.
You did, not God, because it's always there. It's
Yes.
all we are.
It is.
It's all the energy that's around us, and I love that. It's like so important, and it's so powerful. And so it's about listening, right? Because we have to listen for that divine spark of imagination, right?
Yeah.
For us to get it, for us to hear it.
And I'm laughing because sometimes what we get, we don't want to hear. Has that happened? I mean, let's face it.
We
Any
have
of you
indeed heard that in times
Like,
of
what?
our lives where, yes,
Are
the
you
guidance
kidding?
was like, are
Yeah.
you kidding?
Are you?
So,
what?
so this comes to like our journey, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Our journey. So, I was a practitioner 1 year before you.
1 year.
Not to rub it in, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's
And I
because
became
he didn't want to take roots.
a licensed minister through our paneling 1 hour before him.
Oh,
so I
whatever.
said, I'm the senior minister because I've been a minister long.
And then I was ordained before you. But we will go. We won't go there.
No, we won't.
So we first became practitioners, and we were both practitioners at the same time at Concordia, and we went to Reverend Ian and we said, we want to do a Wednesday night meditation.
Yeah.
And so we created that. We listened to what guidance was telling us. It was something to me that said, something needs to be midweek in our community.
Yeah.
And we brought that forward. And it was wonderful. We had like a little, say, 10-minute, 15-minute power talk, and then we did a 30-minute meditation.
Yeah.
And people loved it, and it was so good for people, and it helped people to grow and expand.
It was a nice pickup.
Because we trusted the spark of imagination and went forward with it.
Now, again, we didn't know the steps of what it was going to be, but we knew the idea, so we stepped forward and moved into it.
Right.
And that was
Exactly.
important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so then we started ministry school. And we started ministry school, and that opened up a place where we both kind of looked at, well, is our ministry going to be in Connecticut, or is it going to be in Massachusetts? We didn't know.
I had no idea.
We were in a place of not being sure, but we were open to wherever Spirit was going to guide. Right?
Yes. And
again, surrendering into, trusting.
And here's sometimes what our thoughts kind of get into the way of the greater picture. We thought we would start a study group somewhere. Remember that? Wasn't
we
that?
have to go to the place that made us think that.
All right, go ahead.
So the place that made us think that is that on Easter Sunday, I was in the prayer room doing prayer, one moment miracles with people.
And I was out socializing.
And he was out socializing, which we, of course, know is Rev Ed's natural ability. And he was talking with these two women, one of them who happened to live down the street from where we lived.
She was
in
our
Rhode
neighbor.
Island. She was our neighbor around the corner. And they were like saying, well, so what are you going to do? What does a practitioner do and all of that? And he kind of was having a conversation with them. And the lady said, well,
her partner said to me, I'll say what well, I have an artist studio on the Fenway. Why don't you begin by starting to meet there? You can use my space for this. And I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
So right there was put right in
Right.
my lap.
So
So I
that's where
couldn't
we
wait to
come
get
to-
to talk to him.
So that's where we
Remember?
come to the study group.
Yeah, so
Right?
yes.
So we went to Reverend Ian and we said, so
we want to do a
we want to do a study group. And Reverend Ian looked at both of us and said, aren't you practitioners? And we said, yes. And can't you teach? Yes. He said, do a teaching chapter.
Yeah.
So that began that whole idea. Again, trusting that Spirit was guiding us, we felt the call and we followed the call.
Again, and I'm going to say, without knowing what it was going
Exactly.
to look like. But we were living from faith.
Yes,
Again,
absolutely.
You know, with all that study, you know, being so involved in the
Yeah.
learning of this
Yeah.
philosophy.
Practicing the principles.
Practicing.
Practicing the principles.
It was an easy yes.
Yes.
Even though with all of the uncertainty, it was
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
This is what we need to do.
Absolutely. And once it opened up, then all of these pieces came into place.
Yes.
And there was all this stuff that took place that allowed it to just unfold. And that, back in May, was 10 years ago
10 years
that
before
we
you-
were affiliated as a teaching chapter.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
We've been doing, yeah.
It's pretty awesome stuff. And it's about trusting that sparking of imagination within us. And knowing that that sparking of imagination is guiding us to better things, right?
Mhm.
To greater things.
Different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And so, what happened when we got licensed as ministers?
Another spark came in.
That's another spark of imagination,
And that
right?
was turning the teaching chapter into a center.
Exactly. And that's when we had that beautiful installation ceremony.
That was by Reverend Ken.
Absolutely.
Reverend
Well,
Ken-
no.
no,
That
no,
was
wait
the
a minute, no.
dedication.
That
It
was
still
the
a teaching
dedication.
chapter back then.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Reverend Ken came and dedicated the teaching chapter. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then once we were licensed, we began the process of becoming a center.
Wow.
So we reaffiliated as Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston. So we were now a full-fledged center, and we were moving forward in this whole amazing idea of what is the imagination of God expressing as us.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is, right?
So
It's about the divine expressing as us and us opening to be that channel of that.
something that sticks in my mind through all of this from the faith is knowing that the divine is always working for everyone's highest and best. I mean, we were just really young practitioners, and we started all this stuff. We were in ministerial school, and we started this, and it was like it
Yeah.
just kept growing. We went along for the ride. That's what it is. We surrendered to it, and it was magical. It was magnificent. It was magical. The lives that I know that we touched.
Oh my gosh!
Through the
people's
10
lives
years
that we have touched,
I'm just so
and then you
grateful
think about the
that we're
ripple
able-
effect of that, right?
Oh,
It's going out, and
Yes.
all the people that they touch.
yeah. It just goes
So
on
it's like-
and on.
It's so powerful to realize how great and grand and glorious this idea is as it continues to expand. Now, you had an experience of wanting to do something because of what happened to you. You want to talk about that?
You mean in the
The prison ministry.
the prison ministry?
Yes.
Yeah, this came about. Now, whoever thought, I was at that point, I was one of the senior ministers here and co-founders, and I thought, that's my life. I was completely, how lovely, everything was that. I went to visit our dear friend Cindy, we went through ministerial school together, and she had part of her ministry was she would go to prisons and do stuff with them weekly. And when I was down there, she said, "You want to come with me?" I'd love to come. So she got me whatever she had to do. I got in, as a minister, and I sat there, and I was so taken on what I saw in that time I was there. And I came back and I said to him, what I just experienced with Cindy was something touched me greatly. And I said, I think I want to do something with the prisons, and I have no idea what, but that is going to be some part of my ministry, and I don't know what it's going to be. And I made that announcement to him.
Yep. And I remember
Uh,
that we went to Florida. I can't remember what it was for. We were down there for a week, but we went to Florida, and I had this message on the center's phone, and it was a woman who was looking for somebody who was interested or looking for a prison ministry. And so I went, I think this is for you.
And out of the
Rabbit.
blue, this lady calls, I'm calling for my brother. He is in prison. He has followed signs of mine, and he's looking for a minister who will visit him weekly at the prison. Well, was that my ministry or was that not my ministry? It began there, and from meeting him for over a year and a half, one-to-one, literally 3 hours a week, every Monday, it was like the longest practice session you could imagine. It was fabulous to see his growth. And from that, it rippled into the rest of the prison, where I then became a volunteer, and these men, from just knowing that I was visiting him as signs of my minister, came to this class every week, and it just kept growing.
And we got from the Science of Mind
Oh
magazine,
my,
and we
and
got
books and,
and
going
all of
through
these
all
things.
that.
Our center did that. This
Yes, our
this
center
group did that. It wasn't
Yes.
just,
No, no.
it wasn't just us as the ministers. It was our community coming together
And
and saying, we care about these people as well.
And the support that this center gave me in
Yes.
my extra ministry, so to speak, my other ministry, the support.
Right.
That's how the books got there. That's how the magazine. It was amazing that it was lovely to see that the group here was so behind
Yes.
the prison ministry.
Absolutely.
But that's just how it fell into my lap. Again, not knowing, but I knew something was up. It had something going on that it wanted me to do, and it was going before and preparing the way for me to step into that. Faith, though.
It took faith. It took faith again to trust that call.
Yeah.
And then, I remember you went away to your 10-day silent retreat, and you come back, and something totally new is happening within you at that time, right?
Yeah, life changing. That's when I knew that I was going to do a self-care, something or other, as part of my ministry. And what I've also learned through this journey, I might want something to happen by a certain time, but in actuality, it doesn't work that way. What I have found, it's all in divine timing, divine order. And again, I know that's something I will be getting into. Do I know when, how, or whatever? No, but I know it is planning something for me, and I have to be receptive to what it's going to lead me to. And years ago, if I didn't know step A and B and C, I would never move forward. I'd never move out of my comfort zone. But let me tell you, since I am living by faith, there is nothing that I don't stand in my way anymore. That's a big thing I want you all to remember. Don't stand in your way. Root yourself in faith and fly. Fly, and you can accomplish and do anything you want. And by that, you are lifting the world. You're not only lifting the people directly in front of you or whoever you're working with, you are lifting humanity. And that's part of our responsibility. So I want you to hear that strongly, because I'm getting God bumps even just saying that. I never lived this way before. Never. I didn't move to California all those years ago until I had a teaching job. I wouldn't dare think I would go somewhere without knowing exactly what it's going to be. How I limited myself back then. Now, I'm not beating myself up. I've learned from it. The sky is the limit. Right? And for me to shine my light and my passion, I want that to come forward so that others can, if I can be an example in any way for anybody to live their fullest life, then I feel content. I feel content.
And that changed our whole life.
Sure.
Because he didn't want to be a senior minister anymore.
No.
And then I had to listen and ask Spirit for guidance and clarity as to what is my place.
Yes.
And things happened and changed and shifted. And at one point, even when things appeared very dark, when it appeared that our center was going to close, there was a part of me that said, no, but I'm still called to this place. I'm still called to this. So I knew that I had more to do in that place, more to be as a part of being a senior minister in this community. So Rev Ed stepped into staff ministry and I stepped into head ministry, and we moved forward in a whole new way. And yet, we still remained a powerful community in consciousness.
Yes.
We kept that conscious energy going. We trusted the sparking of imagination that came forward and moved forward with it and let it be right.
And when you're trusting and going from the imagination, the possibilities, something that I held on to and still hold on to very strongly is that the appearance of what it might be or whatever, it's all up, it's up to the divine on what it's going to be. As long as I can show up for myself coming from a balance and harmony within, then I'm showing up at my best for that situation. But that doesn't mean I have to stay in a situation. I can lovingly release and go on, and everything is working for the highest and best of a right.
Right.
You know, that's.
And so that brings me to today.
Yeah.
Today is a whole new day for Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston.
Yes. Yes.
It is a totally new way of being, and we don't know what that's going to look like. But what I know is this, is that, again, I am listening to the divine call. I am following the guidance of Spirit, because Spirit has always guided me. And when I didn't listen, the cosmic 2x4, which, by the way, I was holding, it's not, God ain't hitting you with it. You're hitting yourself. Because there's that inner knowing within you that's going, what are you doing? You know? And so we're whacking ourselves in the head with our own cosmic 2x4, right? But I've learned that listening to Spirit is the most important thing I can do. And the message that came to me,
And I want to say, you did a lot. You spent a lot of time, as I did previous, doing the inner work, doing the work, the work that at times wasn't easy. Let's be real here. It was challenging. You're going in and you're
thinking this is the direction I'm going, and then Spirit says, "Oh, by the way."
So
right?
I compliment you. I mean, this is compliment yourself when you do that kind of work, because at times it's not the easiest thing to do.
Right.
But compliment yourself that you're taking the time, and I'm complimenting you on how much inner work and I'm going to say the pains you took to be open to what it was saying to you.
Right.
And you could have went two ways. You could have ignored it, as I could have in that 10-day retreat. The stuff that came to me, I could have ignored that. And then I sat back and said, why would you ignore the blessings of the message? Why would you ignore that? So go ahead.
So several months ago, I seldom have a sleepless night. But I had a sleepless night. One of those nights where your things are running through your head and all these things. And then at the end of that, things running through my head, I got, "You're done in Boston."
Which rattled you.
You're done in Boston. What does that mean? How is that supposed to show up? What's that supposed to look like? And that's where my spiritual work began. My spiritual work began when I got that message and I said, okay, so what is it supposed to look like? And I did my spiritual work to make sure it was not ego saying you're done in Boston, that it was indeed the message of Spirit. Because at that time I felt overwhelmed, and I thought, well, it could be just that I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm telling myself that, right? So I had to do the spiritual work to make sure I was clear, and I knew that was indeed it. And so today, what we are both here to tell you, and loving and knowing that God has got this, that we have resigned as the spiritual leaders of Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston. As of October 8th will be our last day. So we can get all the preliminary pieces together. And now home office will be guiding our community, which is now your community, into a whole new way of being. Something new is being birthed.
And we know, I feel this from the depths of my being, that the guidance that both Rev G and I received, that we are following finally after all of the work that we had to do to get to be at peace with it, because it is life-changing for not only us, but for many people, that it's all going to be so wonderful for everyone involved. Each of you are going to fly in ways that might be new to you. This center will exist in a whole new way. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to be best for everyone, because God is always working for everyone's highest and best. And yeah, so that's,
and Oprah Winfrey says, you
you
have to find what sparks a light in you so that you, in your own way, can illuminate the world. And I am illuminating the world in a new way.
And just know that each of you here present on the, whatever you call this, the Zoom
Facebook
thing,
Live for YouTube.
Facebook
yes.
Live, I'm not the computer expert of the duo here, but each of you, wherever you may be, and anyone who hears this message at a later time that we know people do, you all have a spark in you. You all have a passion. I ask you, take the time and go within. Make sure you're living your passion. And your passion changes as time goes on. Our passion 10 years ago was all that what we were doing. It has changed, and that's beautiful, because God has a different direction for us to go in. So you all have the spot. You all have passion within you. Make sure that
sounds like a calling.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Make sure, like, you're not that person who was laying on the ground with the truck one went by and he said, gee, I looked at my life flashing by and I found, gee, that wasn't interesting. It becomes interesting when you live your passion, when you are actually coming from that. And you got to check in every so often, because the passions do change, and that's life. Life has changed. Passions change. Don't be stuck in a passion because you might be fearful. Root yourself in faith and fly with it, no matter how different it may look. That's what I want. That's my departing things to me. So this community and everybody.
It sounds to me like
Go ahead.
your prayer this morning should be around each one igniting their passion and moving in the direction of their dreams.
So can I do a spiritual mind treatment with
Hit
that?
it.
With that purpose? Okay. With that purpose, I don't have to repeat it because you said it. And coming from that purpose, fully knowing and fully realizing that the only energy that exists is the energy of the divine. Call it what you may. It is that energy that is supporting, that is loving, that is there, that uplifts everyone all the time. This energy is what has created each and every individual here, each and every individual throughout the cosmos. Each is made, and each is a descendant of this energy, made in its image and likeness, and each one expresses it in their own unique, beautiful way. And as each one realizes their oneness with the divine, each one realizes their oneness with each other and their oneness with nature. That is what brings about a wholeness for each individual. And it's this wholeness that brings about the magnificence of life that everyone is meant to experience because of who and whose they are. And I know that as each one lives their passion, as each one knows their passion, as each one in faith walks into and expresses their passion as one goes along their journey, that is when everyone benefits. The person benefits individually, and then from that, humanity benefits. and I see people walking around lit up, and that spark just goes to each and every one, that rippling effect, which is so important in this time and every time for humanity. It's like sparking humanity with your own individual passion and spark. And when one can share that, and when one does share that, my goodness, the magic and magnificence of life is experienced by each individual. And I am grateful that I call forth this magic, that I call forth this passion for each individual, that each individual recognizes their passion and is able to walk into whatever that may be. I am grateful for that knowing. I am grateful for that calling. And I release this prayer into the Lord, knowing God's got it. It is good. It is done. It is perfect. And join with me by saying, and so it is.
Wow. That was a kick butt spiritual mind treatment.
Right on.
All right. So it's time to affirm.
Yes.
Are we ready to affirm? All right. Let's just read this together as a community. My imagination grows my consciousness and expands my life now. Woo, let's claim that one more time. My imagination grows my consciousness and expands my life now. Yes, I should have had an exclamation point at the end of that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So now is the time. Now is the time in our service when we talk about our circulation, our practice of circulation of our time, talent, and treasures. And we have our affirmation that we shared. With that, the sharing our gifts affirmation, which I will make bigger on the screen for our community here in the room. Is it big enough for you? Let's read this together. Sharing our gifts. It is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the tree's nature to bear fruit, and the flower's nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed, and I am a blessing. I am grateful. Yes, yes, yes. And for those at home who want to share in this, for here we have our butterfly box, and everyone will put their things in there later. But we have a way for you to share with us. And you'll see here you can text GIVE and the amount to 833-581-0669. Or you can go to paypal.me/CSL Greater Boston. You'll also find us with our email address of info@cslboston.org, which is in the PayPal site, or just go to our PayPal link where you will actually just go ahead and click in to our donate button. So there's all these great options, and we welcome this. So let's just take a moment to accept our gifts and know that they are a blessing to this community and to all who are touched by this community. And in gratitude, we all say, and so it is. All right.
Good morning. What a gift it is to be here with you. There we go. I'm here for announcements. Okay, moving forward. It's always interesting, to say the least. One of the announcements that I'm excited to share with you today is a workshop coming up the end of the month. The last Sunday of the month, we always have workshops. And this one coming up is honoring my sacred self, who and whose I am, and how to treat me. So do you recognize the sacred in your own eyes? Are you honoring your mind, body, and soul? Are you answering your soul's call, which goes right along with what it is that we're doing right here, today's message. What is that sparkle? What is it that is meant for you, and are you paying attention? And that's going to be something that is available both in person and also via Zoom if you're not available to get here on that day. So again, it's August 29th, just after fellowship, and I hope you can join us. I will be leading that and looking forward to that, honoring our sacred selves. So I am grateful. I want to take a moment to say thank you to Rev Ed and Rev G for all that they have brought forth in this beautiful, loving community, from the practitioners and the light that has come from this space and will continue to grow, knowing that all is well, regardless of what I see in any given moment, just knowing that all is well. And the final announcement that I have is join us in fellowship. We would love for you to be there with us. Say hello to all of us that are here in person. It's via Zoom. You can find the link via Facebook or on our weekly newsletter. And if you haven't signed up yet for our newsletter, please check us out on Facebook, and the links are right there. And the meeting ID is 990. If you have actually even better, if you're on a phone, just do a screenshot. But the meeting ID is in Zoom is 990-6825-1729, passcode 014254. So thank you so much for being here, and we're hoping that you'll join us in the next part via Zoom.
Yes.
Looking forward to
absolutely.
seeing
Look
you in
forward to seeing
fellowship.
everybody. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Gina. Thank you. And we'd love to see some faces, would we not, in this room of folks who are online with us? So,
Oh, but are you muted?
no, I'm not muted. So we would love to see you. So definitely join us for that. So I would just like to say, have a beautiful and blessed day. And what do we say? Namaste.
Thank you for joining us.